My name is Kristine Anderson. I'm the managing principal of PKA Architecture located in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We do residential architecture, some boutique commercial, and have a lot of fun along the way from coast to coast. The impetus of architecture for me had to do with childhood, where my dad was a narcotics officer with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's. And he would take us on a ton of drives, a little bit of going through Hollywood, going through Laurel Canyon, just everywhere that he had been earlier in the week or something like that. And I think it's just that was a little bit of it, going through and seeing amazing houses, amazing architecture just around Los Angeles. And then when I was a teenager, my mother and I, we went to Chicago, and I fell in love with all the architecture there. I just wanted to move there, because we had moved from we were in Los Angeles and then moved to Arizona. But in the Southwest in LA, there's nothing like Chicago before. And I just fell in love with all the architecture. And that was kind of the start for me, is just seeing it like that. I moved here because I met a boy. Yeah. So I met a young lad in Arizona who was from Minnesota, who was from Minnetonka. And I was here 6 months after our first date. So I came to the Midwest out of the shock of all family because they thought I was moving to the frozen tundra. And I ended up finishing school here and went to the University of Minnesota and, earned my undergraduate there. And then I pursued my graduate degree there as well. And then I taught there at the College of Design for 11 years. So I embedded myself. I went all in, when I came here. So that's the main reason when I came here. And then I fell in love with the seasons of Minnesota. It was amazing. And I had no idea at the beauty and wonder of the lakes here. And when my then boyfriend, now husband, took me up to the North Shore, and I could just see Lake Superior. I mean, it was so violent and wavy that it looked like an ocean. I mean, it was crazy. And so I just loved everything about Minnesota. When we're designing like a new home, we try to think of it as, we think of it as a 100-year home. We want it to be something that's going to be there and have integrity and will last for the ages, and not disposable, kind of thoughtfulness, that kind of thing. And so there's certain materials that always have more of a sustainable nature to them. There's also technology that's out there that we're trying to get more, exposure. So for example, we don't see a lot of the Tesla roof tiles that we know are out there. We know that there are projects that have them, but I believe municipalities are probably having a hard time with it because they just, what you don't know, it's hard to just, oh, sure, you could do that. And, there's a different way of thinking. And so I think that'll still take time. I'm hoping the next 10 years, 15 years that those would be more accepted. But in our minds, it would be really cool to have a solar roof that looks good. And that's what those solar tiles do. They look like an asphalt roof, but they're not, so that would be way better than just putting all these panels on your roof, which are fine, but oftentimes people want to hide them. There's certain materials and elements that people will do, like geothermal. Geothermal is great for heating and cooling a home. And it's a huge upfront cost in the beginning. And the only thing that is hard for people, and I get it, it's one of those things where they want all of these awesome things, and then they get priced, and then they're like, ooh, and because no one ever does. Oh yeah, that's exactly what I thought it would be. No one ever does that. They're like, oh yeah, that's great. Can we find a way to reduce the cost a little bit? How do we do that without killing our dreams? That kind of thing. And so usually like certain sustainable things will get cut because the cost is just too great for them. They might be able to add it later. So they might rough in the requirements to get solar later, and then they'll just, they'll add those things back in. In our industry, we've lost a certain group of people, of craftspeople, to do certain work. And with that happening, the pool is smaller and the pricing has gone up. And so I believe it's becoming harder and harder for people to build a home at a price point that they're comfortable with. My mother was Filipino, and she taught me how to prepare and cook amazing food. So I can roll 60 wontons with a decent size of meat in 9 minutes. That's my record.